You know that how the truth is treated like some kind of dangerous animal? Like it escaped from a government lab and now everyone's panicking? People don't want the truth. They want the version that makes them feel warm, safe, and comfortably stupid. That's why the truth has become public enemy number one. It threatens the delicate ecosystem of bullshit everyone's been cultivating for years. Politicians don't hate lies. Lies keep them employed. What they hate is truth. Truth ruins speeches, truth ruins campaigns, truth ruins those fancy promises they make and never deliver. Imagine a politician telling the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't care about you. I just want power, money, and enough influence to avoid consequences. The country would collapse from shock alone. And let's talk about the public, the great audience of this circus. People say they want honesty, but when you actually give it to them, they react like you threw acid on their childhood teddy bear. They freak out, get offended, and ask to speak to the manager. The truth demands thinking. Lies demand nothing. That's why lies are so damn popular. They're mental junk food. In America? Well, America loves a good supersized serving of bullshit. Institutions love to bury the truth too. Governments stamp a classified on anything embarrassing. Corporations hire PR teams to deodorize their scandals. And the media, they dress up the truth so much it starts looking like a reality show contestant. Everybody's trying to sell you a version of reality that keeps them rich and keeps you confused. And the funniest part? People will fight to defend the lies that hurt them and attack the truths that might save them. We live in a world where telling the truth is a rebellious act, like jaywalking during rush hour or using your brain without permission. But that's why truth is powerful, and that's why it's dangerous. Truth doesn't care about ideologies, feelings, national pride, or whatever fairy tale adults like to live in. It just shows up, kicks down the door, and exposes everything. It strips the paint off the walls and shows the cracks underneath. And people hate cracks. Cracks mean you might have to fix something, so yes, truth has become public enemy number one. Not because it's wrong, but because it's right. And nothing scares society more than something that's right. People say they love the truth, but what they actually love is comfort. Real truth is rarely comforting. It's sharp, inconvenient, and usually shows up at the worst possible time, like a relative who visits uninvited and stays too long. Society has built entire systems, schools, politics, religions, media, around keeping people comfortable, not informed. And because of that, the truth becomes something people fear, not something they seek. When a truth threatens to expose the cracks in their beliefs, their habits, or their illusions, people react with panic, anger, or denial. It isn't that they can't handle the truth. It's that they don't want to change because of it. Most people prefer a well-decorated lie over a bare, unpolished truth. Lies come with soft pillows, warm blankets, and a soothing voice that whispers, "Oh, don't worry, everything's fine." Truth doesn't do that. Truth shows up like a drill sergeant kicking the door open, yelling, "Oh, look at this mess you've made." And nobody wants to deal with that. People want to believe their government cares, their job has meaning, their opinions are correct, and their lives make perfect sense. Truth often tells them the opposite. It reminds them that systems are flawed, people are selfish, and life is unpredictable. So instead of facing that, many hide behind comforting narratives. Fear plays a massive role in this rejection of truth. When a truth challenges someone's identity, they act as if they're being personally attacked. If they've believed something for years, admitting the truth means admitting they were wrong, a terrifying idea for fragile egos. Humans would rather defend the lies they were taught than accept truths that make them uncomfortable. That's why society fights truth so aggressively. Truth doesn't just change minds, it changes how people see themselves. And for many, that's too heavy to carry. Another reason society fears truth is that it demands responsibility. Lies let people feel innocent, like passengers on a bus going the wrong direction. They can blame the driver, but truth hands them the steering wheel and says, "You're involved whether you like it or not." If people accepted certain truths about politics, economics, or human behavior, they'd have to rethink their choices. They might have to vote differently, act differently, live differently, and change is hard. Lies allow people to stay exactly where they are without effort. Truth also destroys the illusion of control. Humans love to believe they're in charge, that they understand the world, that everything is predictable. Truth says, actually, you understand far less than you think. That reality terrifies people. They cling to easy-to-digest stories, even if those stories are false, because it gives them a sense of stability. Admitting the truth often means admitting that life is more chaotic and uncertain than they'd like to believe. Society also conditions people to accept lies long before they're old enough to question them. From childhood, kids are fed softened versions of reality so they don't get scared. Then they grow up and keep expecting that same softness. Harsh truths hit them like cold water because they've never been taught to face them. Lies feel familiar. Truth feels threatening. Familiarity wins. There's also the collective aspect of truth. When people gather in groups, political, religious, cultural, those groups build shared beliefs. If one person accepts a difficult truth, they risk becoming an outsider. Humans fear rejection more than they fear being wrong, so they go along with the comfortable version of reality their group has agreed on, even if it requires ignoring obvious truths. Belonging is more important than honesty, and society reinforces that idea constantly. Truth is like a mirror people avoid looking into because they're afraid of what they'll see. It reflects hypocrisy, contradictions, mistakes, and weaknesses. Yeah? People would rather smash the mirror than face the reflection. That's why many prefer illusions. Illusions protect their pride, their routines, and their fragile sense of coherence. Lies soothe the ego. Truth exposes it. And in a world obsessed with image, exposure is the ultimate fear. Institutions have always treated truth as a threat because truth has a habit of pulling the curtain back and revealing what's really going on behind the scenes. Governments, corporations, and media organizations all operate on carefully crafted images, narratives, and illusions that keep the public calm, compliant, or distracted. Truth disrupts that balance. It exposes incompetence, corruption, hypocrisy, and the uncomfortable realities these institutions depend on people not noticing. So instead of embracing truth, they manage it, distort it, hide it, or replace it with something more convenient. Governments, for example, don't survive on truth. They survive on stability. And nothing destabilizes people faster than realizing their leaders don't know what they're doing. That's why anything embarrassing gets buried under labels like a classified, a national security, or ongoing investigation. These labels don't protect the country. They protect the powerful from accountability. Governments treat the truth like a toxic chemical. Contain it, lock it up, keep it away from the public, and hope nobody notices the leaking barrel in the corner. Corporations are no better. Their entire survival depends on public trust, smooth branding, and the illusion that they care about customers. If the truth about their labor practices, environmental impact, or financial manipulations ever came out fully, people might stop buying their products. So corporations hire teams of lawyers, PR specialists, and marketing executives whose job is not to tell the truth, but to manage it. They polish their scandals into understandings, their mistakes into technical errors, and their harmful decisions into unavoidable circumstances. They don't correct the truth when it hurts them. They correct the perception so the truth no longer matters. The media, which should be the watchdog of truth, often becomes a guard dog for these same institutions. News organizations depend on ratings, sponsors, and political access. That means the truth is filtered through profit motives. Stories are dramatized, softened, exaggerated, or completely ignored depending on what sells. When truth doesn't attract clicks or commercials, it gets replaced by narratives that do. And because the media is loud, colorful, and everywhere, its version of reality becomes the one people accept. Institutions know this, and they use it to shape the public's attention like clay. Truth is also inconvenient because it complicates narratives. Institutions need clear heroes, clear villains, and simple explanations. Truth rarely cooperates. Truth says problems are complex, humans are flawed, and situations don't fit neatly into categories. That makes it harder to control the public response. So institutions simplify, manipulate, or even rewrite facts to maintain control over how society interprets events. What makes truth especially dangerous is that it removes the masks. It shows when leaders are lying, when companies are exploiting, and when media outlets are misleading for profit. It threatens the power structures that rely on people not asking too many questions. Institutions aren't afraid of truth because it's wrong. They're afraid of it because it's right. And when something true spreads unchecked, it inspires scrutiny, accountability, and resistance, all of which threaten the systems that depend on silence and obedience. Truth becomes powerful precisely because it challenges the status quo. When someone speaks the truth, they are not just sharing information. They are shaking the foundations of the structures that depend on ignorance, complacency, and blind obedience. Lies and half-truths are safe because they maintain the familiar. Truth is dangerous because it exposes reality, and reality rarely matches the story people want to hear. Every time the truth is spoken aloud, it threatens corruption, hypocrisy, and injustice, which is why it is so often attacked, ridiculed, or suppressed. The act of telling the truth requires courage because it comes with consequences. It may alienate friends, provoke authority, or upset entire systems. That's what makes truth inherently rebellious. It doesn't fit neatly into political agendas or social niceties. It doesn't care if people are offended or uncomfortable. Its power lies in its indifference to opinion. Once a truth is recognized, it has the potential to inspire critical thinking, force accountability, and compel action. That's why the powerful fear it. Power thrives on compliance and distraction, and truth breaks through both like a hammer smashing a glass wall. Truth also empowers those who recognize it because it provides clarity in a world of confusion. Lies are confusing by design. They keep people guessing, second-guessing, and dependent on external authority for explanation. Truth cuts through the noise. It illuminates connections, exposes patterns, and reveals consequences. People who understand the truth are no longer passive observers. They become informed actors who can make decisions based on reality rather than illusion. This is what makes truth a threat to anyone who benefits from ignorance, and why it is so aggressively opposed by those who hold influence. At the societal level, truth has the capacity to shift collective consciousness. When truths are revealed and accepted, communities are forced to confront uncomfortable realities about themselves, their systems, and their leaders. This collective awareness threatens institutions that rely on unquestioned loyalty or manufactured consent. History is filled with examples where speaking the truth sparked revolutions, social reforms, and movements for justice. Truth is contagious, and once it spreads, it can dismantle structures built on lies and deception. Even individually embracing truth is a transformative act. It demands self-reflection, honesty, and responsibility. People who live by truth are constantly evaluating their beliefs, actions, and assumptions. That self-awareness threatens those who profit from complacency or manipulation. A population that values truth is harder to control because it questions motives, policies, and authority. The power of truth lies in this ripple effect. One person acknowledging reality can influence others, creating a network of awareness that challenges deception on a broad scale. The power of truth is also linked to its permanence. Lies are temporary, fragile, and context-dependent. Truth, even when ignored or suppressed, exists independently of belief or acceptance. It cannot be destroyed, only obscured. This makes it unstoppable in the long run. Its persistence is what terrifies those who thrive on manipulation. Every attempt to suppress it only highlights its importance and often magnifies its impact. The very act of trying to silence truth demonstrates that it has power, because only a threat that matters requires defense. So here's the deal. Truth isn't polite, it isn't convenient, and it sure as hell doesn't care about your feelings. That's why it's hated, feared, and called public enemy number one. It exposes lies, ruins illusions, and forces people to face reality. The one thing everyone pretends they can't handle. But maybe that's the point. Truth is dangerous because it's real, and real is something society has been trying to sanitize for centuries. The moment we stop fearing it, stop hiding from it, and start facing it head on, that's when we become smarter, freer, and maybe even a little more human. Until then, truth will keep being the unwelcome guest at the party, the one everyone complains about, and the only thing that matters more than comfort, politics, or profits. So embrace it, laugh at it, and don't be afraid, because the truth is the only thing that can set you free, whether you like it or not.